is August of 1819, and you are 14 years old, standing on a wharf in Nantucket with everything you own inside a canvas bag. The bag is not heavy. You are an orphan. Your father died when you were 1. Your mother died 40 days after him. Your grandfather raised you in a house that smells of tar and salt fish. And this morning, he walked you down to the water and shook your hand like a man. The ship in front of you is called the Essex, 87 feet long, 20 years old, black with age and ugly in a way that a boy from a finer port would turn away from. You would not trade her for a palace. You have this berth because a boy named Owen Coffin spoke your name to the captain. Owen is 17. He is the captain's cousin. His mother has made the captain promise to bring him home. You will be the cabin boy, the youngest man aboard, the smallest, the last to eat, the one they send up the mast at night, because if the rope parts, the ship has lost the cheapest man aboard. The voyage is meant to last 2.5 years. In 15 months, a sperm whale will put its head through the hull of this ship, and you will watch it happen from the bow, and you will be the one who sees it first. 80 days after that, you will stand over the body of a man you ate breakfast with, holding a knife. Your hands will already know the work. Pick up the bag. He is waiting for you. Stage 1. The birth. Nantucket is an island that eats whales, and everyone you have ever met works for it. The men leave for 3 years. The women run the town. The money comes from oil, and the oil comes from a bag of wax inside the head of an animal that lives where no one can see it. You have nothing to offer this trade. No father to speak for you. No name that opens a door. Your grandfather is a captain, but he is old, and old captains are just old men. So Owen Coffin says your name for you. He does it the way boys do favors, without ceremony, without expecting anything back. He is 17, and he is already tall. He has a mother who cried at him for 3 days about this voyage, and made her nephew swear an oath on the subject of bringing her son home. Owen thinks this is embarrassing. He tells you about it and rolls his eyes. Charles Ramsdell is 15. He lives 4 streets over from you. Barzillai Ray is an orphan like you. That is 4 boys from the same small town on the same small ship. And none of you find this strange, because in Nantucket it is not strange. You sign the papers. You are given a lay, which is a share of whatever the ship brings home. Yours is the smallest lay on board. You do the arithmetic later, and understand that after 3 years of your life, you might earn about $150. You sign anyway. Every boy here signs. They give you the work nobody wants. You clean the cabin. You carry the captain's coffee. You go up the rigging in the dark because you weigh the least. Captain George Pollard is 29. First mate Owen Chase is 21. Second mate Matthew Joy is 26. These are the old men. These are the ones who know things. You are the smallest person on board. That is a job description. Stage 2, 2 days out. The wind comes on the 14th of August, and there is no time to shorten sail. The Essex goes over. Not a lean. Over. The deck stands up like a wall, and the sea comes across it, and you are holding on with both hands and both feet, and your body has understood, before your mind has, that you are about to die, 60 hours into a 3-year voyage. The masts are in the water. The ship is lying on her side, and she does not come back up. Men are chopping. You can hear the axes. Somebody is screaming a name, and it is not your name. And then she rights herself, slowly, sick, spilling green water off her deck, and you are still there, and you are shaking so hard you cannot let go of the rail. Someone has to open your fingers for you. 2 whaleboats are gone, torn off, splintered, gone. A third is damaged. A whale ship without whaleboats is a warehouse that floats. Pollard wants to turn back to Nantucket for replacements. Chase says no. Chase says they can buy boats along the way and lose nothing but pride. And the crew is watching, and Pollard is 29 years old, and it is his first command, and everybody knows it. They go on. You go below and put on dry clothes, and your hands still will not work properly. And Owen Coffin looks over at you from across the forecastle and does not say anything, and you are grateful for that. Nobody says the word omen. Sailors do not say it. They just remember it. Stage 3. The trying out. The first whale comes up beside the ship in the spring of 1820, and you are 15 now, and you have never seen anything that large be dead. It floats. That is the strange part. It is bigger than the house you were born in, and it lies against the hull like a wall, and the men rig a chain to it, and then they go down onto its back with long knives on poles, and they begin to peel it. The word for it is flensing. The skin and the fat come off in one long strip, a spiral, the way you would pare an apple, if the apple weighed 40 tons. The strip is called a blanket piece. It swings up over the side on a block, wet and heavy and dripping, and if it hits a man, it kills him. Your job is below that. They cut the blanket into horse pieces. They cut the horse pieces into thin leaves, and they call these Bible leaves, because of the way the fat opens in slices. You learn that word from Benjamin Lawrence, who is 20 and steers a boat and is kind to you in a way that costs him nothing. Then they light the tryworks. The tryworks is a brick furnace on the open deck with 2 iron pots set into it. It burns for days, and what it burns is the whale. The fat renders out. The rind left behind is called a crackling, and you throw the cracklings back into the fire, and the whale cooks itself. That is the design. It is efficient. Somebody was proud of it. The smoke is black and it does not rise. It lies down on the deck and it gets into your clothes and your hair and the inside of your nose, and it stays there. The deck is slick with oil and blood, and you walk on it in bare feet. You are handed a knife. You stand at the mincing horse for 11 hours and cut fat into leaves and pass them to the pots. By the 3rd day, you have stopped noticing the smell. By the 4th day, you have stopped noticing the animal. This is not cruelty. Nobody here is cruel. It is a job, and you are learning it, and you are good at it. At night you lie down in your clothes because there is no point in changing them. The smell is the smell of money. Every man on this ship is happy. You are 15 years old, and you are good with a knife now. Stage 4, the 20th of November, 8 in the morning. Whales sighted. The boats go down. Chase's boat gets stove in. A tail comes over and opens the planking like a hand through paper, and they row her back to the ship half full of water, and Chase climbs aboard cursing and starts nailing canvas over the hole. There is nothing unusual about any of this. It happens. Boats break. You are at the bow. You see it first. It comes up about 100 yards off, 85 feet, they will say later, though nobody measures it. It lies still on the surface, facing the ship, and it opens and closes its jaw, and the water works around it. Then it starts to swim. Not away, not down. At you. It builds speed the way nothing that size should be able to build speed. And it comes with its head above the water. And you are 15, and you are shouting, and there is nothing in your shouting that anyone can use. It hits under the bow. The whole ship stops. Men go down onto their faces. Somewhere below, something that is meant to be whole becomes several pieces. The whale comes off the hull stunned, drifting, its jaw working, and then it goes off ahead of the ship, and it turns, and you watch it turn, and you understand what turning means. It comes back faster. It takes the bow apart. The Essex goes down by the head in about 10 minutes. Pollard's boat comes racing across the water, and he stands up in it and shouts to ask what has happened. And the first mate of a sinking ship looks at his captain and cannot make his mouth produce a sentence. 56 years later, an old man in a boarding house will draw a picture of this. Careful lines. The whale, the ship, the water. He will get the rigging exactly right. It is the calmest thing you ever make. Stage 5. The vote. They do not sink with the ship. That would be simpler. The Essex rolls onto her side and floats there, dead, for 2 days. And the men go at her with axes and cut the masts away and climb down into her flooded hold and grope in the dark for anything they can carry. What they get is this: 200 pounds of hard bread for each boat, 65 gallons of fresh water, 2 tortoises from the Galapagos, still alive, some tools, a musket, a little powder, the captain's navigation instruments, which is the only piece of luck anyone gets that week. 2 of the boats also carry a pig. Nobody ever writes down what happened to the pigs. You know what happened to the pigs. The bread has been under seawater. Nobody says much about that. It is bread, and they have it, and there is nothing to be done, so it goes into the boats. 3 boats, 20 men, 6 or 7 to a boat, in a whaleboat built for a day's chase, not for an ocean. Then Pollard tells them where they are going. The Marquesas, he says, west. The wind is behind us, the current is behind us, and it is a month's sail. He has the charts open on his knees. He is right, and everyone will later agree he was right, and it does not matter at all. Because Chase says there are cannibals there. He says it plainly, the way you say a fact. The islands to the west are full of men who eat men. Everyone has heard this. Nobody has checked it. It is the kind of thing sailors know, and the crew looks at the water, and they look at the west, and something goes out of them. So they turn south, 3,000 miles to South America, into the wind, into the current, against everything. You are 15. You do not get a vote. You sit in the bottom of the boat with your knees against a water cask, and you listen to grown men decide to sail away from an island because they are afraid of being eaten. Write that down somewhere. It is going to matter. The ration is set that first evening. Half a pint of water, 6 ounces of bread. The bread is wet. Everyone eats it anyway. Stage 6, Henderson Island. 30 days later, there is a smudge on the horizon that turns out to be land, and the men in the boats make a sound you have not heard before and will not hear again. They think it is Ducie Island. It is not. It is an island the charts do not have. It will be called Henderson, and it is a rock. You come ashore and you fall down. Everybody falls down. The ground has an argument with your legs. Men crawl up the beach and put their faces against the stone. There are crabs. There are birds that have never seen a man and do not run. So you walk up to them and take them and eat them. And the taste is so strong it makes you retch, and you keep eating. There is no water. For 2 days there is no water. They walk that island end to end and find nothing, and they begin to understand that they have found a place to die on instead of in. And then somebody, and nobody agrees later on who, finds a spring in the rock down at the tide line. It gives water only when the sea pulls back and uncovers it. It is there twice a day. It is there for an hour. You drink until your stomach hurts. 6 days. In 6 days, 20 men strip that island the way fire strips a field. The birds are gone. The crabs are gone. The nests are empty, and they get back in the boats. 3 of them do not. Thomas Chappell, Seth Weeks, William Wright. They stand there and say they will take the island, and Pollard argues with them, and they do not move. You could stay. Nobody would stop you. You are the youngest, and you would have the best claim to it. And for the rest of your life you will know that the option was open, and you looked at it, and you got in the boat. They stand on the rocks and wave. You wave back. It takes a lot out of you. Stage 7. The math. The boats leave the island on the 27th of December, and after that it is only arithmetic. 6 ounces of bread a day was never enough. It was a number chosen by men who believed a ship would find them. No ship finds them. So the number comes down, and then it comes down again. And by the middle of January you are eating 1.5 ounces of hard bread a day and drinking half a pint of water in an open boat under the equatorial sun. And the bread is still salted. That is the part nobody planned for. Salt pulls the water out of a man. You eat, and you are thirstier than you were before you ate. And you eat anyway, because your body screams at you to. And then you sit in the sun and burn and dry. Some of the men start drinking seawater. Some drink their own urine. The ones who drink seawater go strange first. Matthew Joy dies on the 10th of January. He has been sick the entire voyage, since before the whale, since before any of it. They sew him into his clothes and put a stone at his feet and give him to the water, and somebody says words over him. 2 nights later, in a squall, Chase's boat loses the other 2. You see their lights? and then you do not see their lights. There are 5 of you now. Chase, Lawrence, a man named Isaac Cole, Richard Peterson, and you. Richard Peterson is an old black man out of New York. He is the one who prays. Every evening on that boat, in the worst of it, he leads the prayers, and he sings hymns, and men who have not thought about God since they were christened sit in a leaking whaleboat and listen to him. He has a wife in New York. He mentions her twice in 90 days, and both times it is inside a prayer, and both times he says her name the way you say the name of a place you are going. He stops eating on the 16th of January. He is handed his ration, and he does not take it. Chase pushes it at him. He shakes his head. He says his time has come, and that he would rather it went to the others. And he lies down in the bottom of the boat, and he does not get up. He dies on the 18th. You bury him. You put him over the side properly, with the words, the way you did Matthew Joy. There is something you should know, and I am going to say it once, and move on. On the other 2 boats, the first 4 men to die and be eaten were the black members of the crew. They came aboard already hungry. They were given the same rations as everyone else, and it was never the same thing. Remember that you buried Richard Peterson properly. It is the last time. Stage 8. Isaac Cole. Isaac Cole loses his mind on the 8th of February. It happens fast. In the morning he is talking about a napkin. He wants a napkin, and he is arguing about it with somebody who is not in the boat. By the afternoon he cannot speak. He goes down into the bottom of the boat, and his body begins to arch and knot, and it goes on for hours, and there is nothing anybody can do but hold him and wait, and he dies at 4 in the afternoon in the most terrible agony you have ever seen a man in. You have 20 days of this left, and you do not know that, and there are 3 ounces of bread between the 3 of you. Chase sits with the body a long time. Then he says it. He says it slowly, and he says it to 2 boys, one of them 20 and one of them 15, and he does not pretend that it is anything other than what it is. Benjamin Lawrence nods. You nod. Here is where you find out what you learned on that deck when you were 15, and proud of yourself for being quick. You take the limbs from the body. You cut the flesh from the bones. You open him, and you take out the heart, and then you sew him back up. And you take the time to do that, because he was a man, and you knew him, and you put what is left of him into the sea. Then you build a fire on a flat stone in the bottom of the boat, and you cook him, and you eat. Your hands do not shake. Your hands are steady, and they know the sequence, and they do not ask you anything. That is the cost, not the eating. Your hands. You eat the heart first, that first evening. It does not keep like the rest. Benjamin Lawrence has been braiding a piece of twine. He started it weeks ago. It has no use and no reason, and he sits in the bottom of that boat with what is left of Isaac Cole, and he braids. He will keep that twine for the rest of his life. It is in a glass case in Nantucket now. It is about 2 feet long. I told you they turned away from those islands because they were afraid of cannibals. Stage 9. Valparaiso. On the morning of the 18th of February, Benjamin Lawrence is at the steering oar, and he says, there is a sail. There is no shouting. None of you can shout. You put the boat around and you go after it, and it is the slowest thing that has ever happened, and the brig grows out of the water in front of you across an hour. She is called the Indian, out of London. They come to the side and they look down into your boat and they see 3 men and a floor covered in bones, and none of you can climb. They have to send men down. They lift you the way you lift a child. You weigh less than you did when you were 12. They put you in the captain's cabin, and they give you food in amounts so small it feels like a cruelty, because a body like yours will die if you feed it properly, and the surgeon knows that, and you do not. 90 days in the boat. 20 men left the Essex. There are 3 of you here. A month later you are in Valparaiso, and they bring in Pollard. He was picked up 5 days after you, 300 miles further south, by a Nantucket ship. 2 men left in his boat, him and Charles Ramsdell, the boy from 4 streets over. When they were found, they did not stand up. They did not wave. They were at the bottom of the boat, sucking the bones, and they would not give them up. Pollard sits down across from you, and he tells you what happened on the 6th of February. 4 men left, no food. Ramsdell was the one who said it, said they should draw lots, and Pollard refused, and then Pollard stopped refusing, because there was nothing left to refuse with. Owen Coffin drew the black spot. Pollard stood up in the boat and said he would shoot the first man who touched him. Pollard offered to take his place. Owen said no. Owen said he liked his lot as well as any other, and he put his head down on the gunwale. Before it happened, he asked someone to write a note to his mother. He wanted it written down that the lots had been drawn fairly. He wanted her to know that it was fair. They drew again for who would do it. Charles Ramsdell drew it. He waited a long time. Then he did it. Owen Coffin is the reason you were on that ship. He said your name to a captain when you had nobody to say it for you. And you are alive because in November you climbed into a different boat. That is all. That is the entire reason. There is no other reason. And you will look for one for 60 years, and there will not be one. You are 15 years old and you are sitting across from the man who ate your friend, and he is crying, and he is looking at you. You do not know what to say to that. You say nothing. You go home. You are 16. Pollard goes home too, and he has to stand in front of Owen's mother. She cannot be in a room with him after that. Not once. For the rest of her life. And then, 5 months later, you go back to sea, on the Two Brothers, under Captain Pollard, alongside Charles Ramsdell. 15 months on a small ship with the boy who pulled the trigger. Nobody discusses it. That is not what the sea is for. The Two Brothers strikes a reef northwest of Hawaii and sinks under you. And you are in an open boat again, in the dark. And this time a ship finds you the next morning, and you climb aboard, and you go on. You sail for 50 years. You become a mate. You become a master. You marry a woman named Margaret. You get old. And you come home to Nantucket, and you open a boarding house on North Street for summer visitors. And you play the part they want. The old sea captain. The salt. The storyteller. You tell them about weather and rigging and a shark you saw once, and they laugh, and they go up to bed, and they sleep in your house. You never tell them. Owen Chase got rich and got headaches. In his last years, he began hiding food in the attic of his house. His family kept finding it up there. Bread, mostly. In 1876, a writer named Leon Lewis stays with you and says, "You should write it down. You are 71 years old. You sit at a table and you write 80 pages in your own hand, and you get the rigging exactly right, and you draw the whale. And on one of those 80 pages, you write the name Owen Coffin. That is the only thing you have ever been able to give him. You send the pages to Lewis. Lewis puts them in a trunk. You wrote a poem too, not about the whale, about the Two Brothers, and about Captain Pollard. And you wrote it to make him look like a hero, because you thought somebody ought to. Nobody published that either. You die on the 7th of February, 1883. Nobody has read it. The trunk is opened in 1960. Your book is printed in 1984, 100 years after your death. Owen Chase wrote his account in 1821, and it sold, and a man named Melville read it, and that is why the whole world knows about the whale. And nobody knows about the boy. Somewhere in Nantucket right now, a boy with no father is standing on a wharf with a bag that is not heavy, and somebody is speaking his name to a captain. He thinks he has been given something.